I believe this man is responsible for Imea being an island and Thaylen City being an epic trading kingdom. Let me explain. First, the underlying foundation. The shape of Roshar, as we all know, is taken from a screenshot of the middle of a Wikipedia video of a specific fractal, the Julia set, being rotated in 4 dimensions. This used to be an Easter egg back in 2014 when Words of Radiance first came out, but now it's very established common knowledge. Brandon clarified in 2019, so when I saw this computation of the Julia set running, it looked like a map to me. But of course this happens a lot. Mathematical formulas, fractals, these things look like maps because maps are fractals. Then, Brandon's art director Isaac made the map from that frame of the video. Isaac has talked about it and agreed with the direct side-by-side comparison of the specific frame of the video to Roshar. There's a lot more backstory here though, links in the description. So, the specific frame that looks like Roshar from that comparison happens to be the 65th frame. Let's pull it out of the video and take a closer look. And, well, this frame looks a little weird. Let's take an exhaustively deep dive into what happened here. I went to the page for the video to try and figure out where it came from. It was uploaded in November 2006 by Wikipedia user Flohack. And what's this? Flohack has blessed us and has actually included the steps to create this video. We've got the program that was used, the command to run it, and the configuration file that was used. Thank you, Flohack. Great. So I installed POV-Ray and ran that exact command with that exact configuration file, and what do you know, it spat out an almost identical video. The colors are a little off though. As you can see, it's too yellow, while the one on Wikipedia was oranger and darker in some places. So I fiddled at random with some of the numbers in the configuration file for the material, and I ended up with this, which is quite close to what's on Wikipedia. Let's focus back in on the specific frame used for Roshar frame 65. Swapping between Wikipedia and my recreation, we can see that I've done a pretty good job, but it's not perfect. It's a very good sign that even some super noisy areas are unchanged, but I'm not actually worried about the color, rather about the shape. What's going on here? You may notice these are the areas that I talked about at the beginning of the video. So we need to remember that this isn't an image, really. It's a still frame from a video, can't forget that, and videos are compressed. In this case, we're looking at what's called Theora compression. While Wikipedia does allow several fine video codecs today, if we go back in the history of their policy page to what it would have looked like to Flohack in 2006, we can see that this was their only choice, so no shade on Flohack for this. Alright, so what about Theora can explain this blockiness? Well, you've probably seen something like this before. This is very reminiscent of how JPEG compression will mess up crisp text and make it fuzzy and moldy looking. And it turns out that both JPEG and Theora use something called a DCT transform to cause these blocky squares. It's a way to compress visual data into a smaller file size, but it does make it look a little bit worse in this telltale way. And if you look very closely at the left side of the image, this blockiness is what caused Imea to not be semi-connected to the mainland with an island chain to the north like it already is in the south. This blockiness also caused the opening from the southern depths to Longbrowse Straits. The DCT was invented by this man, Nasir Ahmed, in the 1970s. If it weren't for his invention, this Julia set animation would have used a video codec using entirely different technology. It's possible that we wouldn't have had blurriness in these particular places. Indeed, if I recreate the video today, and end up at the same final file size, the blockiness disappears just because I used a superior codec VP9 instead of Theora. So, if it weren't for Nasir's invention, these areas would not have been blurry in the freeze frame that Brandon Sanderson grabbed from Wikipedia and sent to his art director. This would have made Thaylen City on a lake instead of on the ocean, landlocked. Maybe this would have been the pure lake. Well, more likely they would have just put Thaylen City on the south coast of Thaylen instead of on the north coast, but hey, we can speculate wildly. Almost anything could have happened. What if Imea had an island chain in the north as well as the south? I have literally no idea what that would have done to the story. But one thing's for certain, Nasir's invention greatly influenced the shape of Roshar as we know it. Alright, setting aside that bit about our friend Nasir, I had a lot of fun playing around with POV-Ray and I want to share with you some of that real quick. I'm going to try and enhance and improve this image as much as I can, while staying faithful to this, which is what Isaac worked from in creating the map of Roshar. You may notice that this image is, well, really bad. It's very low resolution and very grainy. How did this happen? Well, I think Flohack made a mistake while making this video. Specifically, they put -A 0.1. This disables anti-aliasing, which is already off by default. To enable anti-aliasing at that value, you actually need +A 0.1. If I fix that typo and rerun, we get this. Now this, I believe, is what Flohack intended. Looks much better. Very few of you may have been wondering why this video is 4K. It's time. Turn that on for me if you would. Let's also crank up a few more anti-aliasing settings for thresholding and supersampling, and we get this. I like this so much that I actually went and ran it 300 times as a kind of remaster, so to speak, of the original 5-second animation. One little thing though, the original video is 25 FPS, and obviously I'm going to be using 60 FPS for this remaster. The problem is 60 isn't divisible by 25, therefore there is no frame of this remaster that lines up perfectly with good old frame 65 of the original video. Obviously there are some that are close, but I can't call this a true remaster because the single most important frame doesn't really exist anymore, not precisely. Back to the specific parameters for frame 65. We can play with another option. This one changes the fractal, but I think it still looks super cool. It's the number of iterations that the fractal runs to. The animation is at 50, but we can stick with the frame 65 values otherwise and just run this from 0 to 50. I like to imagine that this could be the creation process of Roshar, from a featureless blob to this intricate nest of strands. Putting iterations back at 50, here's an animation of the precision value going from 0 to 2000. The original was at 200. This could also be the creation process of Roshar. Up to your imagination. That's about it. Like, comment, subscribe, all the assets are in the description, full quality image sequences, even this After Effects project itself. Have fun, and see you later.